The drama surrounding Indiana's crushing 88-84 loss to the Washington Mystics was not just another mid-season stumble. It was a night that exposed everything that has been simmering beneath the surface for the Fever, and Sophie Cunningham made sure no one walked away without feeling the weight of it. Her post-game words, blunt and unfiltered, were the kind of honesty that players use when the excuses run dry. She called out the team's lack of intensity, demanded accountability, and reminded everyone what the Fever's identity was supposed to be. For a franchise clinging to playoff hopes, the margin for error is gone, and this game made that clearer than ever. For a while, it looked like Indiana had the night under control. The Fever built a 13-point lead in the second quarter, holding Washington to broken possessions and controlling tempo with Aaliyah Boston anchoring the paint. By halftime, they still had the edge, a reminder that even with Caitlin Clark sidelined and guards being patched together on hardship contracts, Indiana could dictate games with toughness and execution. But basketball, as always, has a cruel way of exposing cracks. Washington erupted with a 22-7 run that flipped momentum in a blink. It wasn't a highlight reel takeover from a superstar that did Indiana in, it was their own mistakes. Turnovers mounted, fouls piled up, and within minutes, the Mystics had erased the lead, leveling the game and silencing the building. That unraveling was self-inflicted. Indiana committed 21 fouls, handing Washington 26 free throw attempts. 14 of those came in the fourth quarter alone, a devastating number in a game decided by just 4 points. And then there were the turnovers, sloppy passes, stagnant ball movement, and possessions that too often ended with Kelsey Mitchell forced into difficult isolation drives. As head coach Stephanie White admitted afterward, the offense was getting stuck. But the issue wasn't just stagnation, it was the complete lack of a counter. With shooters like Chloe BBY glued to the bench despite her 42% clip from deep, the floor spacing collapsed. Washington loaded the paint, and Indiana never adjusted. Mitchell still finished with 14 points and 9 assists, Boston had 20 and 9, Cunningham chipped in all-around production, and Odyssey Sims gave a spark off the bench, but the system around them failed. That's why Cunningham's words cut differently. She didn't sugarcoat the reality. She said flatly that Indiana has to get back to being dogs, a call to reclaim the identity that fueled their earlier winning streak. For Cunningham, this wasn't about Clark being out, or injuries piling up, or the opponent getting hot. It was about toughness, edge, and fight, the qualities that teams fear when they face you. Washington didn't fear Indiana. They saw a group that could be rattled, and they seized it. Cunningham's tone wasn't defeatist, it was a demand. She made it clear that excuses about adversity or new rotations won't cut it anymore. Contrast that with Stephanie White's explanations, and the divide becomes sharp. White pointed to fouls, turnovers, and Mitchell's isolation sets as the root of the collapse. She noted the challenges of adding new players mid-season, the constant lineup changes, and the natural adjustments that come with them. None of it was untrue, but what fans heard was a coach diagnosing problems without owning the choices that left solutions untouched. BBY's absence in a game begging for shooting is the prime example. White said it was a defensive concern, a matchup issue that made her hesitant to use her. But the Mystics still carved Indiana up defensively, still earned 26 trips to the line, and still buried timely threes. Fans see the math. If defense was already failing, why not try spacing the floor on offense? Instead, the Fever stayed predictable, and predictability was punished. The players, for their part, didn't fold. Boston's consistency was undeniable, holding her ground in the paint and forcing Washington to respect her presence every trip. Mitchell did everything she could, initiating offense and fighting through traps. Cunningham not only scored but facilitated, racked up steals, and injected energy at key moments, including a steal-and-three sequence that kept the Fever afloat. Sims, fresh on a hardship deal, showed why she was signed, giving Indiana the closest thing to a true floor general they've had since losing their backcourt depth. The effort was there, the production was there, but the structure to channel it into a win was not. That's the tension eating at this team right now. The roster, thin as it is battling. They're not throwing in the towel, not playing like a group that has given up. But when the players pour in that much fight and the coaching decisions leave them exposed, frustration builds. Cunningham's honesty reflects the locker room's urgency. White's measured answers reflect the coach's perspective. But urgency and detachment can't coexist when the season is hanging by a thread. One demands accountability, The other spreads it thin. Fans hear the difference, and that difference tells the story of where Indiana stands. The Fever now sits 7th in the standings, with the playoff picture tightening. Every loss magnifies. Every mistake carries more weight. This wasn't about the Mystics outclassing them. It was about Indiana losing control of their own winnable night. They had the lead, the momentum, the talent on the floor to finish it, and they let it slip away. That's the kind of loss that lingers, not just because of the standings, but because of what it says about leadership and identity. Cunningham wants the team to rediscover its edge. White is explaining fouls and offensive stagnation. Until those two perspectives align, the Fever risk falling short of the fight their players are still willing to give. The question now isn't just about this one game. It's about what happens next. Should Stephanie White be held accountable for her rotations and late-game decisions? Was this collapse a coaching failure, a product of injuries, or simply the reality of a roster stretched to its limits? Those answers will shape not just the playoff race but the foundation of what this team builds going forward. Because as Cunningham said, the Fever have to get back to being dogs. Without that identity, every opponent will walk into their gym believing they can steal one. And as this loss showed, belief is often all it takes. Now it's your turn. Do you think Stephanie White is the right coach to lead this group through adversity, or is her decision-making costing Indiana games they can't afford to lose? Was this more about missing Caitlin Clark, or about leadership from the bench? Let us know what you think in the comments. And don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update on the Fever's journey.